Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, presented by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor. Now it's time for your weekend tech tip, brought to you by Chevy Silverado.
Welcome back, everyone. We're joined by Mr. Dave Ing, the man behind the FishEng Products Company, as well as a professional fishing guide. If you get an opportunity to get out there and do some fishing with Dave, I would highly recommend it, especially if you were the crew that he had yesterday. You had a pretty darn good day.
We had a good day.
Pretty darn good day. And the fishing overall has been holding on pretty strong. I mentioned earlier in our second segment that you have really good opportunities in the main stem Columbia in a number of different places still, so don't think that it is over. There's a reason why. Some people are wondering why, but there's a reason why they gave that extension through the end of the year. Okay, so we've talked about the products that I think everyone, if they weren't aware of it before today, well, you're well aware of it now. But your rod holders, those, when you first brought those out in conjunction with a friend of yours working on that thing, phenomenal. I mean, most people just didn't really think how, at least my perspective, didn't really think how it's going to change how we fish. But once you have those extensions, positioning your reels and rods in ways that are more beneficial to you, it'll make your little boat bigger. Yes. It'll make your big boat more user-friendly. It'll make your rod position more fishy. Now you're going to go, well, what difference does that make? I'm telling you right now, the reason why you see the guides that are out there full of clients have their rods positioned the way they do is because they fish better that way. They're not doing anything just for the sake of doing it. They're doing it for a very specific reason. How the fish actually reacts when it bites the rod, based on where that rod is positioned in the rod holder and with that rod extension. You can see all these different versions that you have, from different accessories to different rod holders. But Ryan, go ahead and go back to the rod holders themselves and make sure that we can see them. So you've got how many different versions of these? Is it just 6, or is there more versions?
There's more than that. I think there's like 8 of them, but we make them in both plain aluminum brushed. I mean, if you're not going to be in a saltwater environment, you don't need to spend the extra money for the anodizing. Okay. But most people just go ahead and buy the black anodized. It cleans up easier and doesn't get spots on it from salt water.
Sure, and that's really the only thing that happens.
Yeah, the function is no different.
Gotcha. It's just how they'll appear after the salt water gets on.
Right.
Okay. So the anodized I like because they look better to me. Although I will say that the brushed aluminum looks pretty cool too. I mean, so you got a lot of options there, but you can see you've got vertical, you've got offset, you've got big offsets, and myself, I like having 3 different versions. I try to neck it down.
That's what we do.
So it's pretty common to see the big offsets. Those are what, 12-inch offsets?
12 and 15s. Okay.
Up towards the front of the boat, and it gets a little bit narrower in the middle, and then vertical in the back, right, on the sides. And then for my boat, a lot of times I'm fishing solo, so I've got one vertical tall one. I think it's the 15-inch because it's super tall, so I can keep it up above my kicker or wherever I keep it positioned on the transom. So that I have it up high, and it's easy for me to grab when I'm standing up rather than having to bend over, which is one of the best parts about these extensions, is that with the bases that you get with it, okay, that are also made out of machined aluminum, you can lean on that thing. Now, if you're like me and you're an old fat guy, and you lean on a plastic rod extension from a manufacturer that makes the rod holder itself, you will break it. That will ultimately put your rod and reel into the water. Don't ask me how I know. Happens to folks all the time. This is where that extension you're not breaking it. I mean, you'd have to try to break it. I mean, legitimately really go nuts. You're just not breaking them. No, I mean, we've literally, out of the thousands that we've made, have had 2 or 3 people say, hey, we bent these things. And, bent? Guys reeling halibut on it, and or they're getting in their boats using it for a pry bar. Right. But other than that, they're darn near bulletproof. I mean, I've literally towed a sea swirl from the mouth of the Willamette up to Chinook Landing. Tied off to one. So, I get it. So they're pretty doggone, tough and all that stuff. They're 3/8 plate machined aluminum. Yeah. So, and they're made very, very well. I mean, they look good as they are functional. There's no question about it. And they will literally change how you fish out of your sled. Any boat, quite honestly, it doesn't matter what it is. They will be an advantage for you in the long run. And you can combine them with the S&C rod racks. You and Stuart work together. The best rod rack ever. by a landslide. There's a reason why you see it on every single boat that's out there. But paired up with the FishEng extensions has become very, very popular. You guys actually sell it in a package, right?
We do. We sell a combo kit with the 15-inch. So, you know, you got your rods trailing out of the back of the boat, getting up there, and, you know, now you're fishing, just pull your rod out of there and stick it in the top of the extension.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. I mean, it's not necessarily about saving 5 or 10 seconds, because let's face it, 5 or 10 seconds, who cares? But in the end, when you're talking about keeping your rods separated, keeping your rods positioned correctly in your boat to be more productive when you're fishing, that's where that advantage comes in. How many products do you make under the FishEng products line?
I honestly, you'd have to call my wife. She pretty much, she's the one that takes care of everything and keeps the wheels on the bus. But I'm guessing we're in the 40 SKUs now.
Wow.
So
now I know that you can find them online, of course, but Fisherman's carries the vast majority of your products, right?
Pretty much everything from, you know, our fillet tables, garbage cans, to the extensions, the leaderboards.
Stop there. Is that the fillet? There you go. The fillet table. Everyone, listen. There's ways that you can change those to fit on any boat. Quite honestly, and I actually had a person who is just a fan of the show. They actually went to you to have rails put on one of their boats so that they could have sliders. That's also something that you kind of offer.
We make a rail system. We don't have it on the website just because it's custom. It's by the foot. So whether you want a 17-foot chunk of continuous rubber, you know, it's seamless. So it doesn't look like you bought an aftermarket kit and put it on the side of your boat.
Okay. So it looks good and it's functional.
Yeah, it looks functional, and it looks factory. You know.
All right, so we got to cut to a break. When we come back, we're going to have your deal of the week from Fisherman's Marine, and I promise it'll be a good one when we come back from this break. Don't go anywhere. We've got Dave Ing here in the studio.